Well, let me ask you, do you want to be in this market right now? We've been talking all morning about the volatility in the markets. We've also talked about what the implications may be if the president were to win a second term, or if Vice President Biden were to win. There were even some questions we were talking about whether if there was a Biden win, what that would mean to taxes, and whether you think there might even be a sell-off come the end of this year in that instance, because people might want to capture, to the extent they can, any kind of tax gains that might look like a lower rate if you believe that rates are going to go higher next year.
Yeah, listen, I think Biden's going to win. I hope Biden wins. But if he wins, I think the market will go down, at least initially, because he's going to raise capital gains tax. There's a lot of people with a lot of gains. They're going to look at and scratch their head and say, hey, better sell this year before the tax rate goes up. He's going to raise corporate taxes some, and he's going to raise the personal income tax. And so the people that have been benefiting the most in this election, which is like the 0.1% or the 1%ers, are going to get hit hardest by his tax plan. They probably can afford it. They've had a pretty good run, but it's not going to be good for the overall market. I actually think the market. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just to follow up on that, though, Mike, as somebody who you just said you're supporting Biden long term over the next 4 years, if he were to win, do you think that would be better for the markets or worse for the markets than a second Trump term?
You know, it's hard to say. I think it's probably better for the markets because the chaos Trump brings every week, every day just gets tiring. Listen, it hasn't hit the market yet because what's really driving it is Chairman Powell's liquidity. And in both senses, I think you're going to see a lot of liquidity. The Democratic team actually surprisingly sounds a lot more conservative than the Republican team when you're talking about, their plans. We're going to balance this over time, but there's going to be so much pressure to start redistributing wealth, right? If it's paying for college, if it's wiping out student loans, if it's Medicare for all, those are things that the Democratic Party cares about. And there's going to be pressure. And maybe you're not going to get all of those, but you're going to head somewhat in that direction. And so I don't see, our deficits miraculously, collapsing. And so Powell keeps the pump on. And, it's going to be really interesting to see how it turns out. I still have a big gold position. I still love cryptocurrencies as hard assets. I think being short the dollar still makes a whole lot of sense. We have a really hard, you asked a great question, is can we get out of this trap that we're in? And the secretary said it's not even close to time to thinking about that. That's the $64,000 question for the next 4 years.